Abomination Vaults. Chapter 2: The Forgotten Dungeon. Content warning. While Abomination Vaults contains typical Pathfinder action and adventure, it also presents themes of suicide, ableism, body horror, and human experimentation. Before you begin, understand that player consent, including that of the Game Master, is vital to a safe and fun play experience for everyone. You should talk with your players before beginning and modify descriptions or scenarios as appropriate. Chapter 2 Synopsis. The Abomination Vault's second level, its highest underground level, harbours several old traps and fiercely independent denizens who hunt on the surface. It also contains a small group of Morlocks pushed up from below. Before the heroes get too far into exploring this level though, Belcora activates Gauntlight in a devastating test as she refines the artifact's power. Environmental cues, broken low-quality furniture and tools, cobwebs, distant banging noises, moisture beading on the walls, smells of mold, unpleasant dampness. Chapter 2 Treasure. The permanent and consumable items available as treasure in Chapter 2 are as follows: a +1 Warhammer, a +1 Weapon Potency Rune, a first level Wand of Magic Missile, Fear Gem, Lesser Healing Potion, low-grade Silver Sword Cane, Mesmerizing Opal, Retribution Axe, Shining Sling Bullet, Slick Armor Rune, Type 1 Necklace of Fireballs, Wayfinder. While the heroes are free to enter the dungeon below the keep as soon as they discover any of its entrances, an important event should take place before they dive too deeply into the Abomination Vaults. It's best if this event takes place at night while the heroes have line of sight to the Gauntlight's cupola, such as when they retreat to rest, or perhaps even right after they've defeated the vampiric mist in Area A25. In any case, the heroes should be second level for this event. When the timing is right, begin Deadtide For Otari. Deadtide For Otari. Gauntlight isn't yet fully functional, but enough of its magical power has been restored that Belcora activates it as a test firing before proceeding with the more involved process of restoring the artifact to full use. She targets Otari's graveyard, animating the dead within it. The ghost then watches through the Gauntlight's lens, but she can't do much beyond observe, limited as she is to the sight of her haunting deep in the Abomination Vaults. Gauntlight shudders, and its light suddenly blazes with a sickly pale illumination. This beam arcs south, falling not directly on Otari, but onto the sprawling graveyard located at Otari's western edge. The light remains fixed on the graveyard and is visible all the way from Gauntlight to the town. There isn't any way for the heroes to impede the beam, as it emanates magically from Gauntlight and can't be stopped from its origin point except by Belcora's will. As the dead are buried, it takes most of them some time to dig free, although the heroes might hurry directly to the graveyard given the sinister implications of the eerie light. You can still run these events as written if the heroes first take some time to tend to their wounds or otherwise delay. If the heroes take more than a couple of hours to arrive, town guards have already erected a barrier around the cemetery but are afraid to enter the grounds for fear of the occasional shuffling corpse that pulled itself free sooner than others. Dealing with the undead should fall to the heroes. If they aren't self-motivated enough to enter the graveyard and act as a part of the heroes, feel free to have an official like Captain Longsaddle, Mayor Osif Menhemes, or Vandy Banderdash ask them to deal with the situation. If the heroes continue to hesitate, the undead might become a bigger problem. Otari Graveyard, a severe level 2 encounter. The soil of Otari's graveyard roils and churns with an eerie blue light. Dozens of skeletons and shambling corpses haul themselves free from the ground and rush to the south. Without any hesitation, the walking dead plummet over the cliff's edge to rain down upon the domes of the Dawnflower Library below. Most of the undead raised by Gauntlight's beam plummet to their grisly destruction over the cliff, though a few remain in the graveyard. Yet the damage is done. Otari's citizens are horrified and panicked. If the heroes step into the graveyard or take on the few remaining undead, the fight is an important symbolic stand. This is the heroes' first real step towards being recognized as Otari's saviors. Creatures. A total of 5 skeleton guards and 3 zombie shamblers remain active in the graveyard. These foes technically constitute a severe encounter for second level characters, but canny heroes have a number of advantages. The undead are scattered throughout the graveyard, with no undead within 30 feet of any other, although they quickly move toward any fight or distraction. Stealth and ranged tactics could well thin the opposition before they close in. With the undead being scattered, the heroes won't need to deal with the large numbers all at once if they're quick and efficient. The 4 nearby town guards are horrified by the situation and are unlikely to be of much help. They flee if attacked. At your discretion, and particularly if a hero manages to make a request of the guards or coerce their aid, some of them might fight. Guards can also drag fallen heroes to safety. Treat the guards as Frightened 3 at the start of any of the fight that they join. Abomination's arrival, a moderate level 2 encounter. Belcora watches with amusement from afar as the heroes deal with the undead. As soon as that fight ends though, she decides it's time to test Gauntlight's primary function, teleporting monsters in among her enemies. Belcora takes a moment to order her apprentice Volluk to bring one of the Scalathryxes from Area D10 into Area D9. This delay grants the heroes a few minutes to recover from their previous fight. She then focuses the Gauntlight's beam upon the hero's location to transport the creature there. The illumination raises gooseflesh on those it touches and scatters any remaining guards in a panic. Creatures. An instant after Gauntlight's beam shines upon the heroes, a spider-like Scalathryx manifests in their midst, and, just as quickly, Gauntlight goes dark. The aberration uses stealth to determine its initiative, and immediately attacks, fighting to the death. Any hero who witnesses the creature's sudden arrival and succeeds at a DC 20 Arcana or Occultism check, either during or after the fight, realizes that the creature was teleported into the area via the beam. Dying Light. Once Gauntlight has delivered the Scalathryx and gone dark, it will be at least a month before the artifact can return to a point where Belcora can activate it again. She might do so to animate more undead or teleport another monster into town, either to attack the heroes directly or simply to spread panic. Of course, the townsfolk have no idea about this schedule, and the fear that the Gauntlight could shine again at any moment has the citizens terrified. People fear to go outside after dark, and rumours about Belcora's return run rampant. Assuming the heroes played a key and a visible role in defeating the undead and the Scalathryx, they're soon contacted by the mayor, Osif Menhemes, who asks them to do what they can to find out what caused this event, and if possible, prevent it from occurring again. Feel free to have other town notables be present at this time. Give the heroes a chance to rise to the occasion. In any event, Osif promises a reward of 50 gold pieces per hero from the town treasury if they return to Gauntlight Keep, and see to it that the Gauntlight never shines on Otari again. Servants' Quarters features. The first underground level of the Abomination Vaults once served as the quarters for Belcora's servants. Here the workers lived and toiled outside the sight of those in Gauntlight Keep above. When Belcora was killed, the servants here panicked. Some fled, others hid in their rooms, and still others became food for the cannibal librarians on the next floor down. Today, the servants' quarters are largely in ruins. Areas are unlit unless otherwise noted, and the ceiling's heights are typically 8 feet in hallways and 10 feet in rooms. The doors are sturdy wood, swollen shut with moisture. A hero trained in athletics can open doors on this level with a single interact action. As normal, characters who aren't trained in athletics must spend 2 interact actions to open a door. The largest faction presently active in the servants' quarters is a group of Morlocks who call themselves the Children of the Ghost Queen. These Morlocks once dwelt deep below this level in caverns adjacent to the Abomination Vaults. When Belcora awakened, they clambered into the higher levels to prepare the way for her, enduring a devastating clash with the cult of the Canker Ghouls, and later driving out the Mudlicker Mitflits. Belcora always considered Morlocks to be pests, and still does even as a ghost. But the Morlocks' leader, Graulgust, hopes to change her mind by building her a temple. But just as Belcora's eldritch patron Nimbraloth cares little about how she's honoured, the Morlocks' Ghost Queen doesn't care whether these devout Morlocks live or die. Area B1. Stairs up. These tightly spiralling stairs lead up to Area A21. Area B2. Volluk's workshop. The door to this room is locked. A hero without the key from Area A20 can force open the door with a successful DC 20 athletics check, or pick the lock with 3 successful DC 20 thievery checks. 7 square alcoves, each containing strange mechanical apparatus, or alchemical sets of tools, ring this damp stone chamber. The alcove to the north contains a large glass tank filled with liquid. A goblin's corpse, clad in outdated servant's clothing, floats inside of it. A semicircular work table covered with tools and mouldy papers, and a large book stands open in front of the tank. Volluk once used this chamber as his personal workshop. The work table in front of the tank holds the bulk of Volluk's notes. A hero investigating these notes, who succeeds at a DC 12 Arcana or Occultism check to recall knowledge, learns that the workshop is devoted to both construct construction and necromancy. A critical success on this check also reveals the workshop's emphasis is on transferring mortal souls into constructs or a swarm of vermin. The goblin in the tank is the preserved corpse of Borbo, once Volluk's devoted servant. Borbo volunteered his body and soul for a technique that Volluk promised would grant him immortality, though being turned into the soulbound doll named Mr. Beak wasn't exactly the immortality Borbo had in mind. Still, Borbo, as Mr. Beak, has thus far remained loyal to Volluk. The corpse is well preserved in the tank. Even if removed, it takes months to decay. A search of the other alcoves reveals little of interest, with 2 exceptions: a secret door in the southwestern alcove and an incomplete soulbound doll in the northwestern alcove. Secret door. The southwestern alcove contains a secret door leading down to Area C10, and from there, back up to Area B32. A hero who succeeds at a DC 20 perception check while searching this alcove identifies a toolbox bolted to the wall. When the tools within are pulled, the secret attached door opens. Incomplete doll. The northwest alcove contains a soulbound doll resembling an armless, legless goblin. It has an indentation on its back the same size as Mr. Beak's soul-focused gem, as described in Area A23. Inserting this gem activates the soulbound doll, allowing it to speak but not attack, move or cast spells until its construction is complete. A hero can complete it with enough work and expense, but Borbo remains erratic and violent. If Borbo is returned to this body, he wakens quickly and begins to sob, lamenting in Goblin that his master betrayed him. He remains inconsolable until a hero can either calm him with a successful DC 16 diplomacy check, or scare him with a DC 16 intimidate check to coerce him, or until someone places him in a position where he can see his former body in the north alcove. In any of these cases, Borbo finally goes silent, and the heroes can speak to him in Common, Elven, or Goblin. Borbo has little useful to say, and is prone to fits of self-pity and vitriol towards Volluk. But if the heroes ask the right questions, they can get 4 key pieces of information from him. The location of the secret door in this room, that there's a secret treasure stash behind a loose brick in his old room in Area B4. Master Volluk was a
powerful mastermind, drow occult artist craftsman,
who had a relationship with a
book lady from down below,
and who worked for
Mistress Belcora, who is very frightening and absolutely none of my business.
Master Volluk is vain as well as cruel. If the heroes present a nice image of Volluk, such as a painting, to him, and then threaten to destroy it, Volluk will lose his composure and likely make a tactical error that the heroes can use. Unfortunately, the only painting of Volluk Borbo knows of is the one in Area A22, and it's destroyed. In fact, only one image of Volluk remains in the Abomination Vaults. It's in Area C36. Once the heroes have learned all of this information, Borbo pitifully asks to be released. If the heroes smash the soul focus gem, Borbo's soul is freed. For this act of compassion, Pharasma grants the hero that smashed the gem a favour in the form of a momentary prophetic glimpse of their fate. This allows that hero to gain a +2 status bonus to a single check, which they can apply even after they determine the check's result. The hero has 1 month to use this boon. Area B3, Volluk's Chambers. This room shares features of both a bedroom and a study, although the decor is devoid of any personal items or items of sentimental value. Volluk once dwelled here, but relocated downstairs to Area D8 after becoming a worm that walks. A search of the room turns up a scrap of paper listing the book titles, What the Worm Knows, Grave Feasts, and Secrets of the Skull, along with a note at the bottom indicating that transcription will take months, but I'll try to have these books back to you as soon as possible. My love. Area B4, Borbo's room. This small room has a long-abandoned straw bed, a dresser with open drawers revealing a jumble of out-of-date servants' clothing, and a large barrel with a ladle atop it. This room once belonged to Volluk's goblin servant, Borbo, but it has been abandoned since the goblins gave up his life to become Mr. Beat. The clothing matches that worn by Borbo's corpse in Area B2. The barrel once held dozens of pickles, but the brine inside evaporated long ago, and the pickles have rotted away. Treasure. A hero searching this room who succeeds at a DC 18 perception check finds a loose brick concealing Borbo's small treasure stash, a jade shard worth 15 gold pieces, a silver statuette of 2 succubi worth 35 gold pieces, and an oily-looking slick armor rune. The heroes might hear about this stash from Borbo in Area B2. Area B5, Volluk's Machine, a moderate level 2 encounter. A large metal table filled with leather straps and iron bands sits in the center of this room. A strange contraption that seems to be part spyglass and part mechanical drill sits near the head of the table. A sparkling black gemstone glitters in a metal framework built into this machine's side. The machine in this room is a sadistic device Volluk crafted ages ago. With a successful DC 20 occultism or religion check to recall knowledge, a hero determines that the device aids in casting the Create Undead ritual. This doesn't provide knowledge of that ritual. The drilling device penetrates the skull of a restrained victim, while the scope focuses the ritual's necromantic energies. Using this machine grants a +2 item bonus to skill checks to cast Create Undead. The stairs to the south lead down to Area C7. Creatures. One of Volluk's last creations remains here, a horrific undead guardian created from a giant leech. Volluk called the creature the Blood Siphon, and was amused how shriveled the thing became. The Blood Siphon appears to be a giant log of desiccated flesh until anyone disturbs or approaches it, at which point it lurches forth and attacks. It pursues foes into areas B1 to B4, but not beyond. Treasure. The black onyx gemstone in the machine can be pried out easily enough. Doing so renders the device useless, but the gem is worth 25 gold pieces. Area B6, Abandoned Guard Post. 3 plain wooden chairs sit along the east wall of this otherwise empty room. Belcora's lackeys once waited here to perform any tasks she might need. The secret door to the east that leads to Area B21 is easy to discover from this side of the room, as the middle chair leans against a section of the wall that pivots slightly outward. The heroes can discover the secret door by succeeding at a DC 12 perception check or by moving the middle chair. Stairs beyond the north door lead up to Area A12. Area B7, Meeting Room. A long wooden table sits in the center of this room, surrounded by several wooden chairs. Only the chair to the north seems particularly comfortable, although its cracked leather padding is mostly decayed. Belcora addressed her serving staff here. No one has been in this room in decades, though neither the Mitflits nor the Morlocks know about it. This room, and Area B6, thus serves as a safe place to hide or rest. The secret door leading to Area B8 is obvious from the north side. Anyone approaching this secret door from the north automatically spots it. Area B8, Servants' Rooms, a severe level 2 encounter. This large open area is a filthy mess, even beyond the collapse to the south that clogs part of the room with rubble. Half-eaten fish, cat-sized beetles, and bits of waterfowl lie strewn in a tangle amid gnawed bones of larger creatures. This large room once served as a common area for servants to relax and take their meals. The southern half of the room, along with the servants' toilets and bathing facilities, were buried under rubble long ago. The collapsed stairwell to the south once led to Area A8 above. The 8 unmarked rooms connecting to this area are ruined bedrooms with nothing of interest. A hero searching this area can discover a secret door leading north to Area B7 with a successful DC 28 perception check. Pulling an old wall sconce causes the door to open. None of the Morlocks have yet noticed it. Creatures. The Ghost Queen Morlock lair here. The first time the heroes enter this area, 4 Morlock scavengers are present, fiddling with a partially ruined ballista that they dragged in pieces from Area B21, where it once served as a trap. The Morlocks snarl and hiss if they're interrupted, fighting only until one of them is left standing. The surviving Morlock then tries to flee to Area B12 to warn their king, Graulgust. Area B9, Old Office, a moderate level 2 encounter. A desk with a chair sits in the middle of this room, while 3 empty picture frames hang on the wall. Belcora's majordomo once worked here. The frames used to hold detailed maps of the upper dungeon levels. Volluk took them long ago. Creatures. Graulgust commanded a pair of Ghost Queen Morlocks to guard this room, but they're more interested in tinkering with the broken clockwork assistant the majordomo left behind. Their distraction gives them a -2 penalty to initiative checks. They fight any intruders, flanking foes where possible. If a Morlock scavenger fleeing from Area B8 runs through the room, these Morlocks relocate to Area B10 to mount a defense. Treasure. The Morlocks have exposed the Clockwork Assistant's inner workings, which include an intricate gear worth 40 gold pieces. Removing the gear while preserving its value requires a DC 16 crafting check. On a failure, the gear is worth only 20 gold pieces. On a critical failure, the gear breaks and is worth nothing. Area B10, Trapped Hall. The north and south halls of this hall have been decorated with a bewildering array of timbers, metal parts, gears, bits of broken weapons and trash. Belcora's majordomo used this room for planning and meetings, but the Morlocks have dismantled the furniture here, along with several other scavenged items and devices, to build a gauntlet of traps to defend the approach of their king's throne. Hazards. 4 spike launcher traps have been hidden in the walls of this room, activated by nearly invisible trip lines that stretch across the room 1 foot off the ground. Morlocks can move through the room without triggering the spike launchers, as they know where the trip lines are. 1 cord crosses each pair of north to south squares. Spike launchers, 4 of them, a level 0 hazard. A jagged spike of metal shoots from a hidden launcher. Area B11, Washroom. 1 wall of this washroom has been gouged out by sharp claws, revealing a rough-hewn tunnel leading west. This once served as majordomo's washroom. The tunnel to Area B13 began as an eroding crack, then was widened by the Morlocks. Area B12, Graulgust's throne room, a severe level 2 encounter. A sofa-like throne, made of an old mattress, several pieces of reconstructed furniture, and dozens of bones, sprawl along the northern side of this room. A narrow rivulet of muddy water trickles from a narrow tunnel to the south and forms a puddle in the room's centre. Creatures. Graulgust, the self-styled king of the Ghost Queen Morlocks, has chosen the Major Domo's old bedroom as his throne room. He has rebuilt the older furniture in this area into an immense throne of sorts, and he's attended at all times by a Morlock servant tasked with sharpening Graulgust's fingernails and toenails, rubbing his feet, feeding him worms, or whatever Graulgust demands. Now and then, Graulgust leaves his throne room to patrol the Ghost Queen's domain and check up on the Ghost Queen shrine in Area B14, but the first time the heroes visit the dungeon, they encounter him here. Graulgust fancies himself something of a worldly diplomat, but since he speaks only Aklo and Undercommon, communication with the heroes might be difficult. If he can't establish communication, Graulgust grows annoyed and sends his Morlock servants to fight the heroes. Graulgust steps into the fight only once his servants is slain, or he's attacked directly. If he's reduced to 30 hit points, he spends an action to howl for his pet Grothlut in Area B13. If the slithering monster still lives, it comes to its master's aid as soon as it can through the tunnel to the southwest. Any Morlocks present when Graulgust is slain gain the fleeing condition for 1 round and a frightened 3. Side quest. If he can communicate with the heroes, Graulgust congratulates them for their bravery in seeking him out and gives them a choice. They can become sacrifices for the Ghost Queen, in which case he directs his Morlock servants to kill them, or they can prove their worth to the Ghost Queen by slaying the water monster that dwells nearby in Area B19 and bring back her head. If the heroes agree, Graulgust allows them to leave the room only via the tunnel in Area B18. And if they don't have the River Drake's head with them as proof of their deed, the next time they encounter Graulgust, he attacks the heroes at once for their failure. If the heroes return with the River Drake's head, Graulgust is delighted that the Morlocks now have an easy way out of the dungeon to go foraging. He rewards the heroes by giving them the title of Lackeys of the Ghost Queen, and leads them on a stroll through the Ghost Queen territory, through Area B10, B9, B8, B14, B21, and B22. Once the heroes reach B22, he offers them a new choice: surrender their gear and become true slaves of the Ghost Queen, and be imprisoned in Area B24, or begin a crusade for him against the cult of the Canker, a group of heretic ghouls, who must be slaughtered for the glory of the Ghost Queen. If the heroes agree to this, Graulgust sends them downstairs through Area B16, with a command not to return until all the ghouls are slain. If the heroes do so, Graulgust realizes they're too powerful to be simply disposed of. He names them missionaries of the Ghost Queen, and commands them to leave the Morlock areas and never return. During this time, the heroes can speak to Graulgust and learn a bit more about the Abomination Vaults. The Morlocks haven't explored the northern part of this level, but he can inform the heroes of the secret door to Area B15 and provide a scribbled map of Level 3, including areas C1, C6, C10, C11, C15, and C33. If asked about the deeper levels, Graulgust grows silent, saying,
"You are of the surface and do not deserve to know of our homeland."
At your discretion, if the heroes use mind control or other coercive methods, they might force Graulgust to divulge more information about deeper levels of the Abomination Vaults, but note that the Morlocks left them a while ago, and much has changed since Belcora's return. Graulgust never speaks the Ghost Queen's name aloud, and if the heroes speak the name Belcora in his presence, he shrieks in anger and warns the heroes never to say her name again. If they do so, he attacks. Once the heroes have secured Graulgust's trust, the Morlock occultist is shocked if they suddenly turn against him. If the heroes attack Graulgust at any point after he believes they're working for him, he is slowed 1 for 2 rounds, as he grapples with the fact that he no longer commands obedience. Area B13, Grothlut Den, a low level 2 encounter. Water drips down the walls of this cavern, particularly along a jumble of dangling pallid roots to the south. Beneath them is a large soggy nest of mud and bones. Creatures. This cavern is a result of years of erosion, and its damp earthy environs make it a perfect home for the Morlock's recently acquired pet, a Grothlut fleshwarp. Graulgust rescued the Grothlut from a cage deeper in the Abomination Vaults, and the aberration dotes on the Morlocks the way a loyal dog adores its master. It attacks anyone who enters this cave other than Graulgust, fighting to the death. Area B14, Shrine of the Ghost Queen. While it's apparent that this large room was originally a kitchen, the furnishings have been rebuilt and repositioned to create an improvised shrine. The western end of the hall, where a large fireplace for cooking food once stood, now serves as an altar of sorts. Looming over a human corpse is a towering statue of a feminine shape, made of bones covered in sheets of mouldering cloth and hanging moss. A bare spot on the room's north wall has been decorated with mud and blood to depict the same feminine form as the statue. The Ghost Queen Morlocks erected this shrine to honour Belcora, but as the Morlocks fear the ghost as much as they revere her, they only rarely enter to provide periodic sacrifices, the latest of which was one of the thieves from Cook's Nook. The body is that of a human man with a bird tattoo on his right shoulder that marks him as a member of the Osprey Club. With a successful DC 16 society check to recall knowledge, a hero identifies the mark as signifying membership in the Thieves' Guild. A hero who succeeds at a DC 15 religion check when investigating this shrine summarizes that the divinity worshipped here isn't a well-known goddess, but that bloody scrawl on the wall over the secret door is likely meant to illustrate someone of importance to the cult. If the heroes have seen an image of Belcora, such as the painting in Area A22, they recognize the statue as a crude depiction of the same woman. The secret door in the northern wall is easier to find than most of those in this area. It takes only a DC 18 perception check for a hero examining the crudely painted decoration to notice it. The Morlocks discovered this door shortly after they arrived, but the one time they opened it to look inside, they were scared off by the shadow within. They believe this secret door leads to a place sacred to the Ghost Queen. They decorated the wall where the secret door is located to placate their patron and haven't opened it since. Treasure. While the dead thief has no treasure on him, the Morlocks have left a few valuable offerings strewn around the base of the statue, including a bloodstone worth 10 gold pieces, a softly glowing +1 weapon potency rune, and a sickly green fear gem. Area B15, Crypt, a moderate level 2 encounter. This 5-foot wide hallway features 3 alcoves along each side. Stone sarcophagi stand upright within each. Belcora planned to inter her favourite followers in this small crypt. Due to her high standards and hard-to-please nature, only one servant has ever had the honour of being buried here, her first Major Domo. Creatures. Today the Major Domo exists as a shadow-like undead who retains her appearance from life, but otherwise functions as a standard shadow. Her soul is bound by loyalty to Belcora and Gauntlight's necromantic energies. The Major Domo emerges from the central sarcophagus on the west wall to attack anyone entering this crypt, but doesn't pursue foes beyond Area B15. Area B16, Pantry. Only a few fragments of shelving that once lined the walls of this pantry remain today. The Morlocks first entered the dungeon's second level through this room. Most of the gear and shelving once stored here has been scavenged for other projects, most notably Graulgust's throne. The stairs beyond the northern eastern door lead down to Area C1. Area B17, Level 2 Portal Chamber. The door to this room is locked, and its key long lost. A hero can force it open with a successful DC 20 athletics check, or pick the lock with 3 successful DC 20 thievery checks. The walls of this octagonal chamber are adorned with swirling runes carved into the stone, and then filled with a dull silvery metal. The floor is polished smooth, as is the ceiling 10 feet above. Belcora installed several teleportation circles in the Abomination Vaults for swift movements between levels, but over time, the magic has faded. Smaller teleportation circles, like those at areas A4 and C5, link to only one area each, but its transit chamber was linked to several others. By tracing specific patterns on the wall runes, someone could transport everyone in this room to one of 9 other portal chambers in the Abomination Vaults. The Awaken Portal ritual required to reactivate this teleportation circle is recorded in a folio in Area C35. Each linked teleportation circle must each be individually reactivated with this ritual, though before they can be used, the heroes must therefore physically travel to each portal chamber they want to connect to the network. Other portal chambers in the Abomination Vaults are located in areas C16, D5, E18, F13, G2, H33, I59, and J5. Experience Award. Award the heroes 30 experience points for reactivating this portal. Area B18, Ruined Boat Launch. At the north end of this small cave, the mouth of a swampy flooded cavern yawns. A few ruined rowboats lie in heaps on the floor of this cavern, strewn next to tangled coils of rope. Remnants of a pulley system hang from the ceiling. When Belcora's servants lived, they used this area to move supplies from the boathouse in Area A16, using the pulley system to ferry a floating platform between here and the pier, but that setup fell into disrepair long ago. Several swaths of disturbed earth littered the muddy floor between this cavern and the flooded cavern to the north, as though left by the movement of a large serpentine creature. A hero who investigates the tracks and succeeds at a DC 18 Arcana check to recall knowledge realizes that they were left by a drake. On a critical success, the heroes know it's a river drake. Area B19, Flooded Cavern, a low level 2 encounter. Tangles of roots hang from the low ceiling of this flooded cavern, the roof of which is a mere 3 feet above the murky water. During the day, muted sunlight filters in through the cavern from an exit to the northwest, but even on rare sunny days, the overhanging pier at Area A17 and the dangling roots keep this room dim. The water in the cavern is on average 10 feet deep. Creatures. A river drake named Fresnelkesh has dwelt in this cavern for nearly 2 years. She's careful to limit her hunting to the fog fen, so no one in Otari knows she exists. She was out hunting when the Crooksnook's thieves came through here, but she returned soon after and cut off their easy escape route, leading to their eventual capture by the Morlocks. Fresnelkesh is likely to be sleeping in the water in the middle of the cavern, and she swiftly wakes up if she hears the splashing of potential food swimming above. If reduced to fewer than 10 hit points, she flees and doesn't return for a few days. She pursues foes that flee into Area B18, or out into the swamp, but she has learned the hard way about dangerous mold in Area B20 and won't pursue potential prey there. Treasure. The river drake stashes what treasure she has gathered in a sea chest amid a tangle of roots in the southwestern cul-de-sac. A successful DC 16 perception check, while searching, finds the chest amid the roots. The drake's treasure consists of 36 gold pieces, a retribution axe, a wand of magic missile first level, and a wayfinder. Area B20, Moldy Beach. A thick knot of roots hangs from the cavern over a muddy beach. Stone stairs lead up from the beach to the north. Hazard. The square just south of the bottom of the stairs, marked with a dotted white box on the map, appears to contain only moldy roots, but it's brown mold. Area B21, Processional. This long 10-foot wide hallway has a vaulted ceiling arching a dozen feet high. 3 broken metal brackets hang from the ceiling, one to the south, one to the north, and one in the middle. Although what the frames once held is unclear, the floor is strewn with pieces of rotten wood and twisted metal. To the north, pale green light shimmers around a closed door frame. The empty frames used to house small swiveling ballistas on the ceiling that functioned as traps, but the Morlocks have scavenged the components. Only detritus the Morlocks deemed worthless remains. The secret door leading to Area B6 is exceptionally well hidden from this side. Its seams are all but invisible cracks in the stone. A hero who succeeds at a DC 28 perception check while searching this hall spots it. The green light shining through the door frame to Area B28 is evidence of Otari's unquiet spirit. The Morlocks don't approach this light, as they believe it to be a sign of the Ghost Queen's wrath. Area B22, Workshop, a severe level 2 encounter. Roll a secret DC 10 perception check for each hero before they enter this room to hear the sound of metal clanging and wood splintering. A hero who specifically listens before entering automatically hears the sound. This long room smells of rust and grime, stacks of splintered furniture, pieces of weapons and armor, frayed coils of rope, jagged shards of metal, and other bits of trash lie in heaps along the walls of this room. A cold, unlit forge sits in an alcove to the west. To the north, several heavy timbers are wedged up against a door to keep it shut. Removing the timbers from blocking the door to Area B24 is a simple enough 3-round activity. Creatures. 2 Ghost Queen Morlock engineers toil at assembling a pair of broken ballista. While the Morlocks have skill to rebuild the devices, they keep incorporating dubious improvements that require restarting their repairs. The engineers quickly realize that they can present intruders to mollify Graulgust's frustration at their slow pace. They prefer to use their junk launchers from a distance for as long as they can. The Morlocks do their best to capture the heroes alive. If they do, they confiscate the heroes' gear and throw the heroes in with the thieves in Area B24 until Graulgust tells the Morlocks what to do with them. Graulgust offers to the heroes what is described in Areas B12. Area B23, Well. The air here is cool and moist. A low stone well sits to the east. Armor, weapons, and tools lie in heaps to the north. This well drops 40 feet down to a large pool of water in a natural reservoir in Area C40 below. Anyone who leans over the well can attempt a DC 15 perception check to hear a strange sound drifting up from below, splashing combined with what sounds like a small crowd. These noises come from the gibbering mouther that lives below, but it remains out of sight of anyone peering down the well. The rope and bucket once used to draw water up from below are long gone, but the metal bracket in the ceiling is sufficiently strong to anchor a rope, supporting the heroes. Treasure. A heap of gear belongs to the prisoners in Area B24. It consists of 3 suits of studded leather armor, 2 rapiers, 1 broken rapier, 3 sets of thieves' tools, a lesser healing potion, and 13 gold pieces. Area B24, Prison. Alcoves along the walls might have once been storerooms, but the stone shelves are all empty. The room smells foul. The foul odour is due to the room's use as a prison. Of the 4 thieves who stole into the dungeon from Cook's Nook, only 3 survive: Gorulvetas, Shad Nunda, and Ziskili Thebe. All 3 are clad in rags and are suffering from malnutrition and fear. Each bears a bird tattoo on the right shoulder that indicates membership in the Osprey Club. With a successful DC 16 society check to recall knowledge, a hero identifies the tattoo's significance. The thieves recount their harrowing time as prisoners of the Morlocks, if asked, and are eager to be led out of the dungeon. They thankfully accept their gear from Area B23 if offered, but only want to return to Otari. If the heroes lead them up to the surface, the thieves can safely return to Otari on their own. Otherwise, chances are good that a dire fate meets them. On the other hand, Yin Yasmira pays well for their rescue, as described in the side quest of Area A17. Area B25, Cleaning Supplies. Shelves line the wall of this room, each filled with tools used for cleaning or repair work. A silver-headed cane lies amid a tangle of mops and brooms and buckets. The devil in Area B27 investigates any noise here. Treasure. None of the tools are particularly valuable, but even a brief glance is enough to note that they're all clean and in good condition. The cane hides a silver blade. It's a low-grade silver sword cane. Any attempt to move it without a successful DC 16 thievery check causes the other tools to clatter noisily to the floor in a heap. Area B26, Clockwork Storage. A pair of hulking humanoid objects stand quietly in this chamber, each covered in a thick layer of dust. These two clockwork assistants once helped maintain this level, but both are now broken beyond any hope of repair. Treasure. With a successful DC 18 crafting or perception check, a hero identifies 8 gemstones worth 5 gold pieces each, used as bearings in the clockworks. Area B27, Zozzlarin's room, a low level 2 encounter. The walls of this room have been painted, crudely and almost childishly, to depict a horrific hellscape of burning mountains, rusting cities, and tormented souls. Creatures. Belcora used several bound devils as minions and guardians, most in lower levels of the Abomination Vaults. The lesser of 2 devils she assigned to the upper levels is a hapless Zebub named Zozzlarin. A chubby fly-bodied devil, Zozzlarin is bound to this level as an internal janitor. Zozzlarin is contractually required to spend 18 hours each day in this room, and he has done his best to paint the walls to remind him of home. For the other 6 hours each day, he's compelled to buzz into the surrounding complex to clean and dust. Thanks to Belcora's cruel sense of humour, Zozzlarin is required to spend at least 3 of these hours cleaning the dusty halls and floors of the dungeon with his tongue. But to the hopeless Zebub, this indignity is nothing compared to the fact that he has been forced to live here on the material plane for much longer than his bargain originally required. The frustrated Zozzlarin is quick to attack the heroes as a result. The conditions of his imprisonment allow him to defend the dungeon from above-ground intruders. If reduced to 10 or fewer hit points, though, the devil begs for his life, offering to share a special memory as a reward. If the heroes agree, the Zebub uses his Infernal Eye ability to reveal a significant event he witnessed many years ago: Otari's flight through the dungeon to hide out in Area B28. Zozzlarin doesn't know this memory's significance, but it's the most recent memory he has of other surface dwellers, so he assumes the heroes are interested. A successful DC 16 society or relevant lore check is enough for a hero to recognize the famous adventurer, who was thought to have been killed long ago in the clash against Belcora. Area B28, Haunted Washroom. This 10-foot square washroom features an iron bathing tub to the north and a commode to the southwest. The northern wall glows and shimmers with rippling ribbons of eerie green light. When Otari Ilvashti became trapped in the Abomination Vaults, he did his best to find an escape route. Unfortunately, at that time, many of Belcora's dangerous minions still guarded much of this level. He made it to the room only to collapse from his wounds. Fortunately, Belcora's death had thrown the dungeon into chaos, and he wasn't discovered. When Otari woke sometime later, no longer on the edge of death from his ordeal, he crept out of the room and made his way west through Area B31 and eventually to B20, only to be confronted by an angry oversized Chul. He discovered the secret door in Area B32 and fled deeper instead. When Otari finally died in Area D18, his soul remained as a ghost, and the 3 locations where he hid during his final days became infused with desperate echoes of his spirit. These echoes provide a trail to his remains. The ghostly energies react to the presence of the heroes. The first time the heroes see the glowing energies, it slithers into letters to read, "I was Otari. Save me from below." A moment later, the words slide off the wall and form a green ribbon of light that slithers across the floor like a serpent, with a speed of 20 feet. The heroes can follow this ribbon, which lasts for only minutes, to Area B32, where it slips under the secret door and fades away. The next clue to Otari's path is in Area C3. This spectral manifestation can only appear once per day. Area B29, Hall of Hatred, a low level 2 encounter. Several wide alcoves adorn the walls of this L-shaped hallway. Each alcove contains a small diorama of the same city facing different perils: a massive fire, a devastating tsunami, a thunderous earthquake, an attack by an enormous tentacled monster, and an invasion of an undead army. Each of the scenes in the alcoves depict the cities of Absalom in a different fanciful doom from Belcora's imagination. The stone dioramas are enhanced with minor illusions: flames flicker, water ripples, and so on. A tiny gauntlet, as though miles distant, sits at the edge of each scene. A hero who succeeds at a DC 16 religion check while studying the last diorama notes that the undead are rising from Absalom's graves as the gauntlet's beam shines upon them. Hazard. In addition to displaying some of her fantasies about Absalom's destruction, Belcora had Volluk rig several traps in the hall to punish intruders. One trap is linked to each diorama: Dooms of Tomorrow, a magical trap, and a level 3 hazard. The sounds of devastation rise from the diorama, and a beam of shimmering energy lances outward from the tiny model of Gauntlet. Area B30, War Room, a severe level 2 encounter. This large low-ceiling room has a cross-shaped table in its centre. 10 chairs stand around the table. The walls, floors, and ceiling of this chamber are completely covered in thick layers of webbing. Belcora once held meetings with her most valued advisors, minions, and conjured allies in this room, usually to plan out her never realised but often imagined assaults on Absalom. The table in the centre displays an illusory map of the city of Absalom as it appeared hundreds of years ago, during Belcora's life, to aid in her plans, but the spiderwebs in the room obscure this illusion. Creatures. Several years ago, a web lurker named Mimnavix came to this room after entering the dungeons from the swamp. He found the illusionary city to be delightful and fancied himself the king of the ghost city, making this room his lair. After being damaged by a trap in the outer hall, Mimnavix is taken to clambering along the upper reaches of the hall to avoid stepping in front of the traps as he comes and goes on hunting trips, timing them for the hours the river drake is out of her lair at area B19. When the heroes first arrive, the web lurker is squatting atop the table, delighted in yet another explanation of his web cake city. He rises up to full height upon spotting the heroes, and in Aklo greets them by commanding,
Bow down before the king of the ghost city and present your offerings.
Mimnavix's inflated ego leaves him expecting any visitors to be potential supplicants bearing him gifts. If the heroes don't offer him gifts of any sort, he hisses in frustration and attacks. If the heroes actually do, Mimnavix is so startled by his own authority that he's momentarily silent. He makes further demands of the heroes to give more offerings, polish his claws, and so forth until he tires of their obsequiousness and simply attacks them. He calls his hidden Dream Spider minions out to ambush the heroes and does his best to lure the heroes into one of his 2 web traps. Mimnavix fights to the death. Hazards. Mimnavix has placed 2 web lurker nooses in this room, as indicated by the T on the map. Treasure. The web lurker has gathered a fairly large stash of treasure that he keeps in a bundle of webbing affixed under the table. Most of these valuables are worthless trinkets that appealed to his strange sense of aesthetics, like rusty arrowheads, shiny rocks, bits of glass worn smooth by the surf, or neat seashells. Among the clutter is a mesmerizing opal, 5 shining sling bullets, a Type 1 necklace of fireballs. The cache is visible to anyone who looks under the table, as the magic sling bullets glow faintly through the webbing holding them in place. Area B31, Reception Room, a low level 2 encounter. A ruined table and several destroyed chairs lie in a heap in the middle of this room, along with several large bones. If the heroes are following the ghostly trail left by Otari in Area B28, they see this trail dance and flicker around the centre of the room, where a minotaur skeleton is entangled with the ruined furniture. Otari encountered the Guardian here and killed it before moving on. Unfortunately, the necromantic influence of Gauntlight has animated these remains. Creatures. As the heroes enter the room, the bones shudder and pull together. This takes 1 round, so swift characters can exit the room before the bones assemble, at which time they fall back into place. If the Minotaur skeleton completely rebuilds itself, it pulls its rusty glaive from the wreckage and fights until destroyed, but it doesn't pursue foes from this room. Area B32, Secret Stairs. The heroes can spot the secret door at the top of these stairs with a successful DC 18 perception check. The secret door opens when the rise on the top step is pushed in a certain way. The stairs beyond the secret door lead down to Area C10. Area B33, Punishment Room. Broken down torture instruments lie in half-collapsed heaps on the floor here. To the north slumps a ruined stretching rack, while to the south a pillory lies fallen on the floor. Rusty tongs and chains, frayed and rotten whips, and other implements lie on tottering shelves. Belcora used this room to punish insolent servants, or when she was bored and needed something to distract her. Little of use remains here, but a hero searching this room who succeeds at a DC 18 perception check finds the secret door to the south, which opens when a rusty ring on the wall is pulled down sharply. Area B34, Elevator Down. A hero searching this dead end spots the secret door with a successful DC 18 perception check. 2 wall stones pushed in unison cause it to swing open. This plain circular room is empty. A single image of a moss-caked skull adorns the eastern wall. The floor of this room is a magical elevator that links to Area C22 below. If a creature touches the image of the mossy skull, Nimbraloth's symbol, while the secret door is closed, the floor slowly descends 30 feet with a grinding noise. Doors slide up into view in the north and south. If the secret door is opened while the elevator is in Area C22, this room is a 30-foot deep pit. Area B35, Gauntlight Basement. If the heroes manage to enter this room before Gauntlight activates in the beginning of this chapter, then the artifact is already empowered. No ribbon of ghostly energy is currently present, and you should amend the following description. After Gauntlight activates, it needs to recharge, so the ribbon of energy returns. The walls of this circular room are smooth and grey. A ribbon of pale blue light coils and slithers through the air, connecting the floor at the centre of the room to the ceiling 15 feet above. The points where this light touches the stone above and below seethe and writhe, as if the stone itself was suffering from an infection. The desiccated remains of an enormous worm lies slumped around the ribbon, forming a crescent of shriveled and tattered purple flesh. One of Belcora's favourite pets dwelt in this room, a purple worm she transported into the chamber from the Darklands. For all the creature's bestial power, it was entirely dependent on Belcora for sustenance. As the keep's walls are indestructible, after Belcora's death, the worm starved to death. The ribbon of ghostly light is a manifestation of Gauntlight's mounting power. This eerie light churns in a 5-foot diameter burst at the room's centre. Any living creature ending its turn within it takes 2d6 negative damage, with a DC 16 basic reflex save, and an undead creature regains hit points of the same amount. As long as the Gauntlight remains at its low level activation, the light keeps churning. But if the heroes rescue Lasda Vankervale from Area D9, it winks out. Treasure. A hero who digs into the dried worm's carcass finds the remains of its last meal, a Duragar skeleton still clutching a +1 warhammer that didn't help him cut his way out of the worm's gut.